The United Nations Relief and Works Agency says it's getting ready to launch a polio vaccine campaign in Gaza. The organization says polio vaccines have arrived, and it will be part of vaccinating roughly 640,000 children under the age of 10. Living conditions are worsening there as the war between Israel and Hamas rages on. Here to give us a better understanding is the Director of Planning at UNRWA, Sam Rose. Thank you for taking the time to be here today, Sam.
Thanks for having me on.
So you're in Gaza right now. Tell us exactly where you're situated and describe what you're seeing.
Yeah, I'm in Khan Yunis, which was a large city in the southern part of Gaza, at an UNRWA health center, one of our health centers that remains functioning in Gaza. We had to renovate it after military operations ended here a few weeks ago, and we're surrounded by bombed out buildings, surrounded by rubble. The Israeli army only recently pulled out of this area, and it's been hit very, very hard over the past several months. So some people have returned to the bombed out buildings that they used to live in, similar to the shots on your screen, but many more living in tents, living under tarpaulins, living amid ruins with garbage on one side quite often, and sewage lakes running through the streets. So really desperate conditions for the people in Khan Yunis, but across all of Gaza, given the intensity and the ferocity of the conflict that's approaching its 11th month.
Okay. Earlier this week, you had a press conference where you said that your organization has been struggling to deliver humanitarian aid like food and other supplies to the people of Gaza. I think normally you have 500 trucks going in. You've only had about 100 going in. Has that changed, and what are some of the challenges you're facing?
Yeah, I mean, we've estimated that we need about 500 trucks a day to meet the basic needs of the population of Gaza. The main crossing point for these trucks has essentially been blocked off. Our staff going in there to collect aid have to go through an active conflict zone. It's very dangerous. It's very complicated to make those movements, and essentially that has choked off the supply of aid. So we estimate that about 1 million people in Gaza will go without the food rations that they need this month, and it will be the same next month unless we're able to get supplies in. We're not really able to bring in meaningful large-scale supplies of aid right now for the people.
And you believe that everything you've mentioned so far in this interview has led to the situation now, the region's first polio case in 25 years after it was detected in a now partially paralyzed baby. You're launching this vaccine campaign. When and how do you plan to do so? This can't be an easy feat if you're already struggling to get food and supplies out, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And as you said, the very reason for the outbreak of polio in Gaza after 25 years in which it had been eradicated, so more than a generation's work, it's a direct result of the conflict. The fact that the health system has been essentially decimated, the fact that water and sanitation infrastructure have been destroyed, people are malnourished, they're displaced, they're living amid garbage and lakes of sewage. It's precisely in those types of conditions that a virus such as polio has been able to re-emerge. There may be more cases, it's just that none of them have been confirmed. Now, we're happy that the vaccines themselves have been able to enter the Gaza Strip. Over 1 million doses of polio vaccine have entered. That's enough for the first phase of the campaign, which will start tomorrow, as you said, with a target of 640,000 children. It's not just the vaccine, it's everything that goes with it in terms of refrigeration units, large scale, small scale boxes and vials, etc., that allow the vaccine to be distributed, to be transported around Gaza, first to distribution centers, then on to the health centers and the health teams that will be responsible for administering it to hundreds of thousands of children. It's a very complicated effort. We're not sure that there have been any efforts on this scale anywhere in the world in recent time, administering a polio campaign at a time of active conflict. Now, we're very, very happy as well. We very much welcome the humanitarian pauses that have been agreed between the parties over the past few days. It's absolutely critical that those pauses are adhered to and that we're able to operate within the safe zones that have been declared, that will remain in place for several hours. Now, the effort is made more complicated by a couple of things. One is that not all areas of Gaza are within the safe zones. This will be a staggered campaign. So we will be operating in safe zones, but also outside of those safe zones. So it will be a very complicated effort to coordinate amongst all the teams that will have active on the ground, to count the tally of children who have been vaccinated, because we need to make sure that we reach about 90% of all children under 10.
And you mentioned that pause in fighting. I'm curious, is there any concern for safety while this pause is happening?
I mean, the concern for safety is it's in the hands of the parties to the conflicts. It's absolutely critical that they respect that pause, a pause that's been agreed between 6 a.m. and 2 p.m. So for 8 hours on each of the days during which the campaign will take place. So in Middle Gaza, the campaign will start tomorrow, and that pause has been agreed to last for 3 days. A similar situation will then move on to southern Gaza and then up to the north. But more importantly, it's critical for the population themselves, so that families, the parents, mothers can bring their children to the vaccination point so that we can reach them. Because if bombardments start, then people have more immediate concerns to worry about. They're essentially running in fear of their lives.
Okay, Sam, thank you so much for giving us more clarity. That's Sam Rose, Director of Planning at the United Nations Relief and Works Agency.